All right. Well, week two, kind of the third week of college, and we're going into week one of NFL, and we're coming off a huge week. So I'm going to run through all the things we're going to talk about. Try and keep it to 30 minutes, but at this point, I think the information is more important than the time. So we're going to talk about tomorrow night's NFL game. I know everybody's going to watch it, and everybody's going to want to know the thoughts on that game. We're going to talk a little bit about the West Coast to East Coast, but with the new wrinkle that we're going to have this week, because there's some extreme weather all up and down the East Coast, and some cities have been impacted more than others, but to some extent, every one of those cities have felt it. I'm going to talk about, for those of you that are new, I'm going to talk about the no plays, the just automatic walk away games in the NFL. Talk a little bit about the underdogs and why so many outright underdog winners in college. I'm going to talk about some coaches on the nasty list and off the nasty list. Talk a little bit about future bets. Then I'm going to run through a few NFL games. So, and of course, we're going to talk portfolio management and what we do after a week like this. And I put a bunch of numbers together, and it's important to break it down. So I'm going to go there first. So we're coming off of a week where the baseline picks that were posted were 2-1 for the CFL and 6-1 for college. So those are baseline picks. Somebody asked me the question last week, what's a unit? So I'm going to clarify that. So a unit is exactly this. It is the dollar amount that you are going to wager, and you determine your unit at the beginning of the week. So if you are a $10 bettor, 1 unit is $10. If you are betting a half a unit, you're betting $5. That's all a unit is. So when we're all on the chat, and that chat was really cool, a lot of fun conversation going on. I had a lot of fun on that page this past Saturday. But when we're all saying half unit, quarter unit, full unit, 2 units, that's really all it is. If you and that terminology exists so that it's approachable to everybody. If you're a $1,000 bettor and I'm saying $1,000, well, that becomes very unapproachable to the person that wants to have some fun and make some money and is just comfortable with $10. There's a place, no matter what your unit size is, and it can grow and it can turn into something huge. So please, if you're even a $1 bettor, it can go to a very good place. So that's what a unit is. And what do we do with last week? I mean, there were, again, what we did is unheard of. It doesn't happen every week, and it certainly does not happen like that on an opening week. And I'm not even counting all the live plays. The live plays, we were 5-0 on Wednesday, 4-0 on Thursday. Notre Dame game, I think there were 4 live play winners to a loser, which was a 0.1 unit just on Florida State money line. So there were a lot of live plays that actually cashed. But here's how I play it. And I'm advising that you go about it the same way and manage it. So we come off the week, and I'm going to use $100. So we're just going to keep the beginning bankroll as $100 for the example. So we started last week with $100. We went into all of our plays, cashed everything out. When it was all said and done, and again, live betting aside, when it was all said and done, we came away with $190 bankroll. Right? All of our winners, that's the total. And I did that based off of a minus 110 payoff. Over the course of 10, 11 wagers for the week, it'll balance itself out. There's probably a couple that we went into that were minus 115. There's probably some that we went into that were even money. But minus 110 is about what you can expect out of Bovada. So we started with 100. We now have 190. Well, what do you do? So I always say you take half of the profit, which in this case will be $45. You take that out, withdraw it, get it out of your sports bet account. Don't even think about it. It's gone. Get it to your Bitcoin, get it to your wife, husband, girlfriend, wherever it is you take your profit, take it there.
What if it's locked?
Well, so I knew you were going to ask that question. Ignore it. Ignore it.
For all the people listening.
Well, yes, and I'll talk about that too. Let's just say you've played through your rollover bonuses. So okay. you're taking $45 out, right? You've paid yourself. Done. Money Monday. You've done your job. Now you're sitting on a bankroll of $145. Well, how do you take that into this week? So we're going to figure 7 games. We're going to figure 7 games is what you're going to go into up front. And you don't have to lay all your action up front. I typically don't lay all my action up front. I usually start with the furthest possible game. And I'll lay those ones that are further out. But nonetheless, figure 7 games. You are now laying, you're going to take of that $45 remaining profit that is sitting there, you're going to leave 22 of it just to rest. You're going to take the remaining 23 and you're going to use that to press. Plus, that's going to be a part of your action. So $22 just sitting in your account, sitting in your Bovada account, your sports bet account, whatever account you use. And now you got $123 to play with. You are now, instead of a $10 better, you were a $10 better last week. You are now a $13.50 investor. It doesn't sound like much, but where I'm going with this, it will be. But you've now upped your position by 35%, essentially. So that's kind of a big move. So we're going to factor seven plays. And then the remaining, when you do that math, there's a remaining $28 sitting there. That's for live action. You got 2, possibly 3 live actions, but the way we lay live action is very different. So you got the 28 sitting there. So you got another 2 units, almost 3 units that you can go into to dig yourself out of a hole or jump on live action to up your position. Now, worst case scenario, and I mean, this is just the way I look at it. We go 4-3 this week. Those wagers will put you at $102.60. Let's just call it $103 cash position. Plus the money we left aside, you're now sitting at $130. That's a 9% return on investment. That's just baseline plays. Okay, I'm going to keep repeating that because that's just baseline plays, and that's a 4-3 record. Okay, we have more action than 4-3. But the 7 games I'm going to talk about is college, because I think you go into college first and then you go into the NFL, or you break it up. You do half your college, you do some of the later NFL action. But nonetheless, now you're sitting at $130 position. You go into the NFL, you do the same exact thing. When it's all said and done, I got us coming out of this week with an 8-6 record for the total plays. That's Thursday night, Friday night, all of it, coming out with a $205 bankroll. And then we rinse, repeat. With a $205 bankroll, going up from 145, at that point, I would take, you take half the profit out again, you rinse, you repeat. And then at that point next week, because of that profit, so your profit from this week is going to end up being $65 roughly versus last week, or $60 versus last week. But you're pulling profit out, leaving a higher bankroll than you had. You're now going into week 3, a $25 investor, $20 or $25 investor, somewhere around there. So where we talk about unit and your $10 doesn't sound like much, you're now week 3, you've withdrawn $80, which your initial investment was $100, and you've pressed yourself and you've paid yourself all the way to where you're now a $25 investor. Going into week 3. Now, I say I'm not counting live action because you just never know what the games are going to give you. And this past week, I was just simply reading the games very well. And but in any case, the live action, if you were to factor that in this week, part of why I wanted to move the picks away from the page where we're all talking trash and celebrating, was because it's very difficult to decipher. I wanted to be able to substantiate what these live plays were. But if you throw the live plays in there, another 8, 9, I don't know, we were easily 80%. I think everybody would agree that we were easily 80% on live plays. You probably in profit, we're taking double your initial investment out this week. So anything above this pulling out $40 next week, pressing yourself up to $25 next week on each individual game, anything above that becomes part of the profit that you take half out of. And then your press just gets bigger, your live action, all of it just gets bigger. But that's basic strategy, and you don't deviate from it at all. If I'm telling you the $10 player from last week should be at $13.50 this week. If you're going to throw the live action in and count that to your profit and loss for the week, fine, push yourself to $15. But I wouldn't go any higher than that. Coming off a week like that, you got to be very cautious going into this week ahead. So that's what I recommend. At worst case scenario, you come away a 9% gainer. I'm in the same room as everybody else, chatting back and forth about live trading. A 9% gain in 3 days. That's a pretty damn good thing. Some would argue 9% gain on a 401k in a year is a good thing. So I treat this the same exact way. The live plays raise capital, and that's just kind of like getting your bonus from your salary at work. You count your salary as your paycheck, and you count your bonuses as the extra, and that's it. I'm going to move on unless anybody has any questions about the portfolio management. The rollover. So if you're making a deposit for the first time or you're getting a bonus through Bitcoin, there's rollovers that have to be worked through. So you get $100 bonus, you have to roll it over, I think 20 times, 25 times. A 20-time rollover means you got to bet $2,500 in order to have that locked up. What it will do is it will also lock up winnings from that rollover. So if you are going to need the money, I would suggest waiving the bonus and just putting your money into action. If you are, if you're wanting to pull the money out because the Bitcoin market looks great, I would not recommend forfeiting the bonus once you've accumulated all kinds of cash, because you'll be really pissed when it just deletes your cash. It keeps track of the cash accumulated from the bonus funds. And that's a very big deal. I've been burned by that before. A couple years ago, I had no idea what that was. And I said, we'll just forfeit the bonus. And I lost 80% of what I had in there. And the way I utilize the bonus is almost every time it offers me the bonus, I max it out. And I just take it. I'll add the money back in, I'll take the bonus. And a lot of times it offers really nice bonuses. I've had to change that a little bit because I'm a Bitcoin exclusive. So it throws me a Bitcoin 50% off your next deposit up to $250 every time. Going into the season, I'll do that a few weeks building into it, and I'll have it rolled over through GMF John and baseball and some other random things just to work through rollover. Week 0 is a big week for me. I go into the horse races and I work off the rollover. But by the time we get to week 1 of NFL, the $250, quite frankly, is just not worth it to me. I don't want it. It's just unimportant. So you just have to define what your position is, and if you want to wait to get that money, the rollover, it can be worked through pretty quickly. What I will tell you about it is when I got to roll over $2,000. I'm gonna put $100 down on this game, and please do not put $100 down unless that's your unit. But I'm gonna put $100 down. So you would think, okay, boom, 5%, right? It does not actually show you. When you're looking at the tracking of the bonus rollover, it doesn't actually show it to you until that bet either cashes out a winner or cashes out a loser. So put your $100 down, it's going to look like you've worked off 0. So on a Saturday, when you have live action, you got 8 wagers going, everything else, you're not going to see it. You're going to have to do the math in your head if you really want to know how much your rollover is. But it will not show you your rollover progress until you've cashed out. Everybody good? Colin, you good on the rollover?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
All right. Here's where we're going next. I'm going to talk NFL, and I'm going to go there, and then we'll come back to college. So NFL, I have rules, and I'm very, very disciplined with these rules. So I understand that everybody is interested and in front of the TV and the Thursday night, the Sunday night, the Monday night. I don't touch them. I do not put an investment on them. So if you ask me about those games, I will give you my opinion. I truthfully have no skin in the game and never will. So if that gives you any type of an idea as to how far you can go with my opinion on those plays, I'm giving you that disclaimer up front. So like tomorrow night's game, I will have no investment in it at all. I have a very strong opinion about that game. But that's kind of where it is. Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, I've crunched stats at one point or another. And they're very ugly games to play. And most of the time when something weird's going to happen, it's going to happen in one of those games. So and I won't post picks with those. The picks that I'm going to be posting this year. Understand I'm playing I'm in a multi-million-dollar contest. So the picks that I'm posting I have to approach the NFL in a way that I'm going to be breaking down games that are not necessarily the favorable games, but the side of that I have to play is looking at an opponent that nobody else is, so that not only I win, but I also win and don't tie somebody else in that win. And there's a balance there that I'm not comfortable with yet. So I'm more into the NFL this year than I have been, because that's a life-altering dollar amount to win that. So if you follow my picks, they'll be up on Saturday. I don't know when the Circa makes them available, but it's under 151 Sports. It's through the Circa. You can see what the picks are. If you see that I've posted a play for Thursday night, Sunday night, or Monday night, I have no cash in that game. I just saw an opportunity within the contest. I also don't touch NFC East matchups. So Washington football team is playing Dallas. Dallas is playing Philly. Giants are playing Philly. I will not invest in those games. And in some cases, those are the Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. So some of you've heard me say all this before. So I apologize for that. There's a handful of people that are just joining us this year that it's important I throw that out there. So if somebody asked me, who do you like, the Eagles or the Giants? I'm going to tell you I don't know. I crossed that game off, didn't even look at it. So that being said, let me tell you my thoughts on tomorrow night's game, because I know some of you are going to play it. Everybody's going to watch it. And what I will tell you with that game, I broke it down a little bit, and 8 points is a lot. I looked at 8 points. That was the first thing that jumped out. It's 7.5 or 7. I think that the Dallas players have brought it down to 7, just by putting so much money on Dallas. But I think that's popularity, not intelligence. But either way, 8 points is a lot. So I did a little bit of research, not a ton, but I went back and I looked at last year Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay won 11 games. Only 3 of those games were by less than 7. One of them was by 7. One of them was by 3. One of them was by 4. The 4, I believe, was a division game. And then the 3 was just a no excuse, weird breakdown Sunday night game against the Giants. And the rest of the games, this is Tampa's win margin: 14, 18, 18, 25, 23, 12, 40, and 17. So looking at it that way, last year, Tampa, without Tom Brady in training camp, not really having a training camp, the temper tantrums Brady's been throwing all summer, trying to get people motivated and telling them you haven't won shit yet. You look at it, and Tampa does win by that kind of number. And Bruce Arians, he's one of those coaches that you can certainly trust him with points. There's 5 minutes to go in the game. He's probably not taking a knee. He has no problem. There were games last year where he threw deep passes, with 5 minutes to go, ahead by 10. When you look at Dallas last year, when Dallas was playing playoff teams, and again, you have to take this for what it's worth, but they did not have Dak Prescott last year. So that Tampa defense is going to be very different, playing against a mobile quarterback that can run around with a healthy Zeke Elliott. So it's going to look different, which is why the points are scary. But Dallas against playoff teams lost by 25, 17, and 11. So if you are going to lay action on tomorrow's game, that's my input. Do with it what you wish. The next place I'm going to go is, let's talk about the West to East and some of this weather stuff. So I looked at the games that were taking place on the East Coast that may or may not have to do with West Coast to East Coast travel, and I just wrote them down. And then so we got the Chargers going to DC. We got Miami going to New England. We got Green Bay going to New Orleans. We got Denver going to New York. And then we have the Jets going to Carolina, which I don't know that Charlotte is impacted or if they even will be by then, but I just threw it on paper. So the first thing I look at when I look at any matchup, but when you look at specifically, when you look at adversity, where there's going to be an adverse scenario, quarterback, defense, and head coach. So when you look at the Chargers and you look at that game, you're looking at the Chargers have the better quarterback. DC is, Ryan Fitzpatrick. You take that for what it's worth. But then you look at defense and head coach, and it's a no contest. Washington is better at both. And so I don't know which side that I'm going to fall because it's only 1 point. So taking the dog doesn't really even give me any type of comfort in getting points. I'm not confident that DC is going to be able to score points. But I'm also not confident that the Chargers will be able to do anything with that type of travel at that time of day. But at the same time, so this game I'm feeling very walk-away-ish. Miami, New England, and, I'm all over this game. And I absolutely love the game. And the betting public is completely opposite of me. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with some sharp money closer to the game. But this is Miami going to New England. Quarterback and coach, it's really a no contest. The quarterback is probably a draw, right? I would say at this point, probably a draw. But you look at the head coach, it's a no contest New England. And, mid-season last year, Miami defense caught fire, but I still think it's a no contest New England. I think New England is going to win this game. I think 3 points is a gift. You got a quarterback in New England that he's been playing for New England for the last 4 years at Alabama. Nick Saban giving a quarterback to Bill Belichick, that's never happened before. And they're basically going to play for the same exact level of discipline type of organization. -3, Miami right now is a -120 odds. If you take the +3, New England's even money. There's so much Miami action on it right now that the spread's either going to shift to 2.5, or New England's going to go plus money, and you're going to get +105. So New England is the play there. Most of the time when I give picks on this recording, it doesn't go to a good place, but I don't think that'll be the case with this one. New England is the play there. Lay the 3 points. They're going to be a very different football team this year. They're going to be right back into the playoffs. They're probably going to win that division, or at least fight real good with Buffalo. Something weird's going to happen in Buffalo. Buffalo's going to get a big injury. They're not going to make it. Something's going to happen in Buffalo. I don't buy that hype right now. So
got a fantasy draft. Carry on, G Magic.
Okay, thank you, sir. He really just ditched us for a fantasy football draft. I was wondering what that was. He actually missed the speech about fantasy football and sports betting not lining up. But the other game, we're still talking West Coast to East Coast travel. So Green Bay and New Orleans, that's the fun one. The New Orleans game, because of everything that's gone on in the South, and it is terrible that city just keeps getting hammered the way they do year after year with weather. But the New Orleans Saints organization chose the location. It's a home game for them. So they were given the choice by the league to choose where they're going to go. And they went through a whole process to figure out where they wanted to play. The logical choice, usually for them, they go to Houston or they go somewhere in Texas. They did some research and they figured out that the most expensive place in the NFL within reach for them without disrupting their travel, the most expensive place to get to from Green Bay, or where the most populated areas of Green Bay fans are, was Jacksonville. And I love the way that they did that. So that game's taking place in Jacksonville. You look at it, obviously Rodgers is the better quarterback. New Orleans is the better defense, in my opinion. And the head coach, I don't even think that's a question. Sean Payton's the better head coach. Now, Jameis Winston starting at quarterback, that's a little bit different. Did the man learn something sitting on the bench, getting cut by a team? Did he learn something sitting behind Drew Brees? I mean, I don't know. You guys will find out where I stand when I post the picks. That's a 4.5 point spread. Then Denver's going to New York. Quite frankly, both teams are, the defense probably Denver. At quarterback, I probably even, and at coach, I probably even. But when I say even at coach, you're probably talking about a D versus a D minus, or a D versus a F plus. So I don't really think we're looking at much there. And then the Jets, Carolina. I wrote that down just because it jumped off the page as weather related, but the reality with that game that makes it interesting is you got Sam Darnold playing against the Jets. So do the Jets come in and know how to stop the quarterback that they cut? because he's going to be out to completely destroy them. And is he able to do it? And then the spread is -5, and you got McCaffrey coming back from an injury. He was out most of the season last year, I believe, and so there's that. But you look at the head coach, and it's not even a question. This dingbat that's coaching the New York Jets, he's like one steroid away from passing out. Like the dude is odd to me. But Carolina, what's important to keep in mind with their coaching staff is their head coach is Matt Rule. Came from Baylor and completely disrupted Oklahoma and the Big 12 for a couple seasons. And their offensive coordinator is Joe Brady. Joe Brady was an O coordinator for the Saints who got special permission. LSU got special permission to interview Joe Brady, and they brought him to LSU for 2 seasons. And that was the Joe Burrow year, where LSU and possibly the entire college football world will never have an offense like that again. And so that's what Carolina's coach is. I struggle with that game because of the 5 points. The weather is a factor too. So you put all that together, and this game kind of feels a little walk-away-ish. And, it's okay to walk away from games because it just means you can spend more time on the ones that you're actually looking at. But this game's got too many red flags. I was heavily leaning towards the Jets and the 5 points, and then I started to peel back the layers, and then I started leaning Carolina, and it shifted from 4 to 5, and it's like I just don't know that I am going to trust either one of those teams with 5 points. So we'll let that one go. Friday night, I will just talk a little bit of Coastal Carolina and Kansas. I live in Kansas, so this is KU country. You walk into a grocery store and there's KU blue everywhere and rock chalk signs on the side of the road. Like that's just what it is. KU is the college, or KU is the pro basketball team of Kansas City. I don't pay attention to them, but Coastal, that was our baby last year, and I still love me some Mullets. So I at this point I'm a fan. I think we all probably are after the kind of run they gave us last year. What I am looking at with that game, the last time they played was 2 years ago, and that was pre-Grayson McCall. That was before Coastal was known as the Mullets and all of that. But it's a 25.5 point spread, Coastal Carolina. I realized that they did that for us last week, and it was fantastic to watch. 25 points, 26 points going up against a Big 12 team that they beat. I think they beat them by like 7 or 10 last time they played. But either way, that's a lot of points. If you're going to play the Friday night game, I would look at over 52. Over 52.5, that seems likely. Coastal's probably going to hang minimum 35, maybe 40. And I think KU will find a way to score. I don't know that they score twice. They might get a touchdown field goal, but I think KU will find a way to put some points on the board. And so I like the over 52. You might wait for the opening kickoff, and it'll probably drop instantly to 51.5, and you might play it there. But I would go over 52. And I throw that out there. This is not one of my baseline picks this week, but it's a Friday night game. And there's games on, and everybody's going to want action, and I'm going to be watching it, and I'm probably going to be looking at the over, and that'll be a night where I'm going to throw a bunch of live picks out there. I'll probably throw a handful. You will know within 5 minutes what Coastal Carolina team is going to show up. The other game I'm going to go into, this is not one of my baseline picks, but again, this week there's not a lot of good games. So when I put up college, there's going to be weird games. You're going to be like, what the hell? Why are we looking at that game? Well, we're looking at that game to make money, but the games that everybody wants to be watching, there's one big one this week, and it's Iowa against Iowa State. So I'm going to comment on that game. Again, it's not one of my picks. If I was playing it, I would take Iowa State. I watched a good amount of film and rewind and play and forward and different scenarios that Iowa was in. Iowa sucked on offense, and they actually lost the time of possession. Iowa just won a game with a quarterback against a quarterback that was coming back from an injury. They were playing at home in a wild stadium. I've been to Kinnick Stadium before, and it is the loudest stadium for the size that you could ever imagine being in. So, I mean, that's a real home field advantage for Iowa. But they did not play very well on offense. Their quarterback did not have a very good day, and they were the beneficiary of 3 interceptions. Now, their defense looks great because there was one, possibly 2 of those interceptions, but one for sure, where the defense took the ball away. It wasn't quarterback doing something dumb. It was defense, I am taking that ball from you and scoring. And so there was some of that, but it's easy to look at these opening games and overstate them, right? Like we looked at, it was Illinois 2 weeks ago, and we thought for sure this coming week, Illinois was a gift, right? Illinois smashed Nebraska, and then 5.5 was a gift. And Illinois, I believe, lost outright this week. And that's one of those weird games. You got a whole season to prepare for somebody. So Iowa going to Iowa State. Brock Purdy's going to look really good for Iowa State. And here's the other thing. Iowa State's quarterback had a bad game and threw 21 of 26. And so I just, and now they're going to Ames. I mean, this is going to be in Ames. There's going to be a lot of emotion in it. So I think if you're going to play that game, again, this is not one of my picks. This is not one of my plays, but I would advise you to take a look at the Cyclones versus the Hawkeyes if you're wanting to watch that game, because it's the marquee matchup of the week, 2 top 10 teams. So I would look on the Iowa State side before the Iowa side. But full disclosure, I have no skin in that game other than I want to see Iowa State just because I threw it out there just now, and I don't want to be known as the guy that says the wrong thing. Last thing I'm going to talk about is futures. So a lot at this time of year, it's, who's going to win the Super Bowl and, who's got a good chance of looking at these future bets. There's a lot of value in these super plays. There are these future plays. Like Jacksonville, I think it's 10,000 to 1 if they win the Super Bowl, or it's minus 10,000. So it's like $1 returns $100, something like that. So this is how I play futures. I'm not the guy that's going to walk into a casino and throw $1,000 down on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl in August. I don't want that $1,000 tied up for that long. I feel like if you give me that $1,000, it's going to be $30,000 by Thanksgiving. So I would far rather take that approach and have the money at my fingertips than lock it up into something that may never cash out. But this is what I do every single year with future bets. I just kind of pay a tax every time I win. So UCLA is one of the teams I'm playing. I'm playing UCLA to win the Pac-12. It's plus 500 or plus 600 right now. I don't have $100. I don't have $1,000. I don't have units. I don't have any committed numbers. What I do is when I win a play this weekend, I'll throw a little bit on it. So, if I win a $10 bet, which that's not my unit, but either way, if I win a $10 bet, put $1 on UCLA to win the conference. The next thing cashes out, put another $1. We go 6-1 on college, I might put $5 on it. But I don't put any type of money that's going to make a dent in bankroll, bank account, or my life in any way. And there's a handful of different places I'm laying that. Like I truly did lay. I did lay on Jacksonville when we were back into the college basketball. We were in March Madness. I kept putting $2 on Jacksonville to win the Super Bowl, and it'll be a very nice. It'll be a very, very, very nice Super Bowl Sunday if Jacksonville happens to miraculously win the Super Bowl. But I mean, that was more of a WTF play. But that's how I play futures, and I would recommend everybody doing the same. You don't want to lock up the money for that long. I mean, we're all into stocks. Lock the money up in Apple for that long. That's kind of what you do with a blue chip stock. But and there's a handful of others out there where there's good value. Like after what we just watched this weekend. In the ACC, that's a conference that's totally up for grabs as far as I'm concerned. There's some real good value on Florida State. I think what we watched with Florida State and Notre Dame, we didn't see anything out of Clemson. I mean, Clemson was inept. That quarterback, I was dead wrong. last year, he came close to winning a game for us. And I thought that Clemson was just going to be, all right, Trevor's gone, rinse, repeat. We've done this before. And that is not at all what I saw. And I think that we're going to see some really bad Clemson play. We just saw North Carolina come out and lay an egg against a Virginia Tech team that was very well prepared for them. So, Miami just got smashed. The only one of the big name teams in the ACC that really could feel good about their loss is Florida State. So throw in, you cash on tomorrow night's game, which it's ill-advised to play, but you win $100 on tomorrow night's game, you throw $3, you throw $5 on it. You don't miss the money. You do it right as you receive the deposit from the cash out. That's another one worth looking at. I think the Big Ten and the SEC, you probably throwing money down the drain if you're going to bet on anybody but Ohio State or Alabama to win those conferences. Mountain West, there's some tremendous value in Mountain West. I'm throwing money on Nevada to win that conference. I really like the way that they're playing. They're getting good quarterback play. They kind of got Colin Kaepernick round 2, starting at quarterback for them. So I've been throwing a couple bones here and there, but again, I don't even know the dollar amount. Most people place a future bet. They could tell you, I got $1,000 on that. I did it when I was in Vegas. Well, great. I like my chances of that $1,000, what I could do with it for the next 6 months. So pay it as a voluntary tax if you want to get in on futures and play the value. There's no value in betting on the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. That's 2-1. That's 2-1. I'll give you something 2-1. You'll cash it tomorrow. There's no reason to go there. And that, I think, I think that's my soapbox for the week. I mean, that's a lot. God, I need a glass of water after all that. What do you guys got for me?
That was quite a rant. That's impressive.
You did good work again.
Thank you.
So you got to fill me in here. How do you have to get off something live to go to a fantasy anything? Because isn't that not real?
So do you play fantasy football? That's not your jam, is it?
No.
It
just
I think
doesn't make sense to me.
I have played a lot of fantasy over the years, and it gets pretty intense, for sure.
I'm guessing he's got a bros versus hoes guys thing going on Zoom or something, and they're all doing their draft and talking trash, and that's a fun thing to do. But I mean, I'm thinking he's going to take advantage of this recording, and he'll do it. Plus, he's my next door neighbor, so he was sitting here with me for every single piece of what took place on Saturday.
Nice.
So he got in on a lot of it, and we got in some good tequila drinking too, and it gets intense around here on Saturdays. Sundays at my house are mellow, but Saturdays are extremely intense because of all the action that's going on, and there's always a way to get out of it and get into more.
Interesting.
Yep. Elliot, you got any other games on your mind that I didn't talk about?
Not really, man. I'm still I'm gonna say licking my wounds, but I'm just hoping that the ending of the Florida State game is a window into what we're going to have for the rest of the season. And I'm scared that I'm wrong, but I'm hoping. So, no, not really, man.
Well, I'm not a Florida State fan. I'm a fan of them being good because there's just certain teams that it just makes college football better. Like, yeah, it was great North Carolina last year, but that doesn't do it for me. When Florida State is good, everything is better. When Clemson is good, I don't truly think that it helps the country, but Florida State being good helps. Notre Dame being good helps. It pisses me off every year when USC is not good. The USC and Texas, like when they're good, it's just such huge fan bases. Ignorant fools that don't even know the game get involved. And if Florida State's not quite like that because it's a smaller town, but it's just when they're better, college football is better. But I mean, this is the year. I like that coach. I love the quarterback situation. And what I really like about what happened with the quarterback was when Travis came out, Milton was only supposed to go in for that one play, and he hit it. And Travis, there was no bad energy. He was cheering on the sidelines. I watched some replay and I was looking at it, and the man was genuinely happy for his teammate and what was going on. And that's like Disney stuff that's going to elevate that team. I mean, it was, and the whole ACC is broken down. Virginia Tech had a whole offseason to prepare for that game. So I don't think Virginia Tech is much, but you look at the top teams in the ACC last year and they look totally broken. So Florida State, why not, man? Why not the Seminoles?
Yeah, we're hopefully, I'm with you on that. Just, our last few years have been horrific, and I think Travis might have a good future, but I think he needs some more growing time. He's I think he's a sophomore, maybe. I think he's got 3 more years of eligibility. Like,
yeah,
hey man, you need to learn to run an offense. I mean, just if you look at the first 3 quarters, how he ran the offense compared to when Milton came in. One's a quarterback. The other is let me see if I can run, and then I'll throw. Like,
yeah.
So
anyway, and then Milton there's just this intangible spirit that comes into the game that I felt it like watching the game from home. There's just an intangible spirit that man is just uplifting the good of the world by what he's gone through.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, I mean, you got to think all the experience that he brings. I mean, outside of his injury, but just from a football aspect, I mean, he was, I think, number 6 in the Heisman one year and number 8 or 9 the year before. I mean, like, it's not going to play football before he almost lost his damn leg during a football game.
Yeah, and he just did it against Notre Dame. That was my only question: is what was he going to look like when he plays against real defenses? And Notre Dame is about as real of a defense as they're going to see this year. They'll play Pitt, but he was able to read defenses. So, but
yeah, I'm just forward. Let's get another good weekend.
Let's do it. You guys message me anytime. I'm going to be hit and miss on Saturday, but Sunday I will be in front of the TV. My Chiefs ticket just sold, so Sunday I'll have all the screens going, and Sunday will be more live action than Saturday. But both tomorrow night and Friday, I'll be posting live stuff.
Looking forward to it, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, everybody, have a good week.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks, Chris.